Hello to current and future leaders. Thanks so much for joining the U.S. mission to ASEAN. I am Jason Seymour, the spokesperson for the U.S. mission, and you are joining us on a very special week because right now, ASEAN member state leaders will be meeting with all kinds of U.S. officials for something called the U.S. ASEAN Special Summit. All these leaders are going to be discussing all kinds of different policies that affect Southeast Asia. But one of the most important policies to discuss is how are we making a difference in people's lives in Southeast Asia? How can we partner together? How can we work together? How can we make a difference? And that is what this show has been all about, talking to people that have worked with the US government to make a difference. And today I'm really excited because I got to talk to a good friend, someone who I have worked with a lot over the past year. So Abigail, please join us.
Hi, Jason. Thank you for having me today.
Such a pleasure. Well, we have so much we could discuss. We were talking a little bit about the
I
show and
know.
the list just went on and on and on. So many different training programs. But why don't we
Mm-hmm.
start? Why don't we start with the topic of elections? Because there was a big election in the Philippines this week. And it got me thinking of how important it is for people who want to make a difference to consider running for office, running campaigns. And I know
Mm-hmm.
you have done work, you have inspired many people, particularly women, to get involved in politics. So please tell our audience a little bit about what you have done in that particular aspect.
Thank you so much, Jason. So, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, I have been working in the past few years supporting women. Some of it are those who aspire to running for the office, mainly in the way they campaigning about themselves, in regards to their leadership skills. And I think talking about election, I always thought election is like a really good way to see also the progress of a country or a region, because we will use that as a benchmark, in the next 4 or 5 years on how many women or young people that able to be part of that. And I think in regards to Southeast Asia, I'm in particular really excited because the trend since 2000, early 2010 up until now, we see the rise of young politicians. Many of those are women. I have lots of friends back in Indonesia as well who are young women also consider or even already contested during the last election here in Indonesia. So I think it's a really crucial time. Indonesia will have election as well in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm.
think we will see, I hope we will see a progress. I hope we will have the increased number of women and young people to, aspire to become a politician, because that's where the policy change will happen. Mhm.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question in just a moment, but thanks for the hello from Hung Fu. And to anyone in the
Oh.
audience, I'm going to say it now and remind you later. This is a live show. So if you have a question for us, a question for Abigail, please ask away. But my question is for a lot of the people who want to get involved in politics, want to get in elections, every election, whether it's in the Philippines, whether it's in the United States, anywhere else, they can get
Mhm.
ugly. A lot of
I
people
know.
can say nasty things. Sometimes they say things about a person running for office that simply isn't true. So it can be quite scary for an individual who is not only concerned for him or herself, but his or her family. So
Of course.
what do
Yeah.
you say to people who are a little scared because of that?
Um, I think first and foremost, it's important to understand your value. You know what you are fighting for when you are about to enter, especially politics.
Mm-hmm.
I guess based on my conversation with lots of friends who's been running or actively in politics, it's really important because when things get ugly, then it become your north star. You know that there is a bigger purpose that you want to achieve beyond just be a well-known figure, or have this power. But a second one, I think that also related on why I eventually made Girls Can Lead is the support system. Things can get ugly, but then when you have a support
Mhm.
system, so a group of
Yes.
people that have similar interests that can be your support group, it becomes less scary. And I think
Mhm.
that this is in particular important for women because there is another challenges, lots more challenges that women face when they're entering politics. And yeah, it can be, as you said, pretty nasty for women. I have um, friends, a woman politician who's been accused of different like really diminishing sexual things, and there are one who being criticized just because she used short pants. So like a simple thing that men might not be
Mhm.
able to understand that, but then when you have the support system, yeah, it sort of become your inner strength, because you know there are other women who also face the similar things, and but then as a group we can move forward together.
I just want to emphasize the point you made earlier one more time.
Mhm.
Don't become a leader, don't become a politician because you just want to be a celebrity. Because
Mhm.
it's gonna be frustrating, it's gonna be tough. If you are motivated for a cause, that's going to keep you going through those
Yeah.
tough days because it's not about you, it's about the change in your community, your society, your country
Agree.
in Southeast Asia, in America. When you are focused on your cause, it's easier to let the other things go
Mhm.
away. And so you created this organization to help people
Mhm.
called Girls Can Lead. So tell us a little bit more about when did you start Girls Can Lead? What kind of
Mhm.
training or opportunities does Girls Can Lead offer to Southeast Asians?
Yes. Thank you, Jason. So I started it back in 2016. Actually, back then I was working as an intern in a governor office here in Jakarta. So I that's my, I think, first experience on involving in politics, in government. And then I saw at that time not many women leaders in the office, and it's hard as someone who's young and just start working, when you cannot see a role model or like figure that you can follow in the future. So that's actually where me and my other colleagues who are also women start to dig deep, read, ask here and there why women are not interested working in politics or in government. And then we find out, at least in Indonesia, but then we also discuss with friends in Cambodia, in the Philippines. This is actually the same thing across the region. We don't have many women leaders because since in school, the curriculum, the education is not really emphasizing on practical skills, such as leadership skills. So it's very, one direction, very much into like reading stuff, but less practice. So we think like, what if we have an activities for young women, young girls who can give them an opportunity to practice these life skills. Things as simple as public speaking or running a small grant to solve a problem in their community. So that's actually where, well, we come up with the idea of Girls Can Lead. So over the past 6 years, we've done several different leadership camps, mainly in the eastern part of Indonesia. But then we got also a support from different international organizations from the US, from ASEAN as well, and also from other countries in the region. So I think this is like really a great opportunity, to connect these young girls. And hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, the support system is one of the really great thing to have if you want to have more women leader in the future, and that's actually what we aim for, and we hope we can see the result in the near future.
Mhm. Well, we're going to talk more about those camps in a moment because I know you brought some photos, but I just want to
Yeah.
pause for a moment and talk a little bit about the context of the experience of being a woman. You know
Mhm.
very well in Indonesia, perhaps you your observations are applicable to many locations in Southeast Asia and parts of the United States. What are some of the challenges that women are still facing in 2022 for equality, being a leader, being in the workplace? What are some of the top challenges you have observed?
Mhm. I will say one of the challenges that I see in many different sectors is the fact that again there's not many support system. I know it might sound not relevant if we're talking if we see right now at least in the urban areas, but it does and it's still happening, especially in the rural areas. Even like for example, my experience connecting with these young girls in the eastern part of Indonesia, many of them can are even struggle to obtain higher education just because there are women. And in many cultures, and I believe it's also across Southeast Asia, having boys to have a more advanced education often become a priority based on culture. So
And if I may
yeah.
ask, is this
Mhm.
because universities are discriminating against women, or the families themselves are prioritizing the sons or the male members of the family?
More about the family. So it
Hmm.
comes from a very, local community. So yeah, and then not having that access definitely will impact them for the rest of their life. That's why,
Of
as
course.
we discussed earlier, child marriages happen, and then once
Hmm.
they get married and they don't have the power to obtain money, it will give them gap within the marriage between the husband and the wife, because the wife
Hmm.
not able to provide as well. Yeah, basically so many other problems will arise because of that. So
Well,
access to education, I believe.
well, let's just talk about child marriages for a
Mhm.
moment, because that is
Okay.
a particularly troubling policy. What kind of movements are you seeing, or are you seeing movements in Southeast Asia that are attempting to reduce the prevalency of child marriage, or perhaps advocate for new laws or policies that will make this practice a thing of the past? What can you
Mhm.
tell us about that?
I think what I can tell is just the recent event that happened in Indonesia. The fact that we finally finalized the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. It's a long battle. It's almost 10 years,
Hmm.
and finally it got signed. And it's actually a really good indicator of how women movement, especially from the grassroots level, can give such a great impact. Because under that act,
Hmm.
one of it is talking about how we can protect women in terms of sexual harassment. It talked about a bit about the result of child marriages as well, give more protection. So I think that's one of the things that I see a really great movement. Although
And
again,
I,
it's not
and I
easy.
Yeah, it's
It's
not easy.
and
And I
there's
just have to say, I
yeah.
remember a former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, saying once that change takes time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure she wasn't the first person to create that sentence or that saying, but that always stuck with me when she said that, because it's true, like you said, 10 years. So it's a reminder to policy advocates, don't give up. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to, whatever change you want to make, it's not going to happen in a month, may not happen in a year. It's going to take time. And it's going to require more than one person. It's going to be a group of you, and you're going to have to keep fighting, keep struggling, keep pushing. But in the long run, success can come. So you're telling a story of
Agree.
success that came after 10
Yeah.
years.
Yes, it's
Wow.
a long progress. Even I know, I just wanted to mention this. I know I do advocate about this to the MP at that time, like 3 years ago, and then we connected again recently just because the act finally being signed, and she's no longer in the office. So I mean, like,
Hmm.
wow. But I believe that's her legacy as well. She continue
Hmm.
advocate about that. So it's really the stake of village to push through changes. So yeah,
No,
just never give up.
no one ever makes changes alone. A lot of people have a lot of respect for Martin Luther King Jr., for example, but they aren't
Mhm.
aware he had hundreds, thousands of people volunteering, working with him, writing remarks,
Yep.
scheduling protests. It was a group effort. Every movement is a group
Mhm.
effort. Well, anyway, we could talk more and more and more, but I want to get back to the topic of these leadership camps that you mentioned, and
Mhm.
I know you brought some photos today, so I'm going to ask my assistant to bring up those photos. So this is your first photo, and tell
Thanks.
us, if I may, about this beautiful outfit. From where is this outfit?
Definitely from Indonesia. So it's
Indonesian
batik.
style.
Yes.
Hmm.
Just a
Gorgeous.
dress. I wear it actually. This one is actually back in DC. So I was invited by one organization in the
Hmm.
US to talk about women's leadership. So that's why
But
I picked this
you
particular.
represented your culture. You represented
Yeah,
not only women but
of
your culture as
course.
well. That's great. And
Of
your
course.
quotation there is, when we support women, we believe we support the advancement of the whole community. Absolutely right.
Mhm.
Let's look at the next photo, please. All right, what are we
Yeah.
looking at here?
This is at America, I think back in 2019. So it was one of our event with other organizations here in Jakarta. Specifically, we talk about women for independence. So at that time, it was Independence Day in Indonesia, and we just want to see the progress of women across different sectors. So we have at that time. Next to me is actually one of my young women friend who was at that time running for the office, so a
Mm-hmm.
politician. And then
Mm-hmm.
next to her is a woman entrepreneur, and the other one is a mental health advocate. So we talk from different
Mm.
perspectives. How is it women progress in Indonesia after 70 years of independence?
And we're filming this in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we could have a whole long conversation about that too. But we'll move on to the next photo.
Yes, this one back in 2017. So this is actually the first ever Girls Can Lead event. It was we talked about women in politics at that time. So what's the challenges of becoming women leaders, and we invite a couple of MPs at that time, and that a representative from the ASEAN as well. And yeah, just want to get a better grasp on how women, especially the young one, can progress if they want to be part of the political system.
Mhm. All right, next photo.
Yeah, so this is the camp that I mentioned to you earlier, Jason. So this one is the camp that we held in Poso, Central Sulawesi. So yeah, here is me and all of
Hmm.
our participants. One of
That's
them
great.
actually, eventually, they got scholarship, and then they went to the Middle East to represent Indonesia for a youth forum. And yeah, they
Hmm.
mentioned they get the confidence to go outside and then speak about themselves through the camp. So I think that's one of like our greatest accomplishment.
Well, each of these women represent a story. I'm sure they all have made an impact in their community. I'd love to hear
Yeah.
all those stories, but we don't have time. So, but anyway, is there one more photo, or is that the final? Oh, there was one
Yes,
more
I think
photo.
the last one. This one is the
Hmm.
same, but this one is in Maluku in Ambon. So we have
Hmm.
different women also coming from all across the island, and I remember two of them actually. It was their first time coming to Ambon, the capital city of Maluku province, and it took
Hmm.
them almost 20 hours of riding a boat just to attend this event. So I saw
Wow,
like it
dedicated.
inspires me so much. Yeah, their dedication to get
Hmm.
education. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm so
That's
happy to meet them.
fantastic. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, I'd like to meet them too. That's dedication, as I just mentioned, to travel for 20 hours in a boat. I'm imagining maybe it was very
No.
comfortable and they were just fine. All right. And in this photo, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's the same. It's actually one of the activities that we did. So we divide them
Uh-huh.
into groups, and then
Hmm.
with their groups, they map out a problem that they saw in their community. Because at the end, they have to pitch about the solution, and then if the pitching went well and they got selected, they will get a small
Hmm.
funding to implement their ideas actually in the community.
Hmm. Well, all these photos, thank you for the
Mhm.
photos. You can take them down. Thank you. But all these photos remind me how important it is to have a network, to have mentors, to have
Agree.
inspirational people in our lives. And we sometimes refer to them as role models. So let's talk about role models a lot because you work very, very hard. You're very passionate about inspiring others, but obviously someone must have inspired you along the way to
Of course.
get you to where you are now. So could you describe for us some of your role models?
First one, of course, in Indonesia, is the current Ministry of Finance, Minister of Finance, Madam Sri Mulyani. I mean, she inspired me a lot just because the fact that she arrives through the position right now, not through campaigning through politics. Actually, she is a researcher back then, a very bright economic researcher. And then she once also become the first Indonesian that become the director in World Bank. So I think she really showcased how is it possible for us young women to go through all different ranks if we're really passionate in what we like to do. And for her, it's through financial or economics policy. And yeah, I guess she just inspired me a lot. She also went for her PhD and I think master in the US. So yeah, I tried to follow her step, although my master is not in the US, but then I joined YSEALI Fellowship. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's just really good to have someone like that to become your role model, because I see if she can do that, then I can do that in my own way as well.
And if I remember correctly, you went to the Midwest for your program?
Yes, Illinois, actually.
Hmm.
I went to
Hmm.
Northern Illinois University.
Hmm. Any special memory of Illinois?
That's so I always love when I see American movies. I always love the rural areas. When I watch there is like a festival in the rural. So I actually went to like a festival in the county where I live at the time, DeKalb, and it was really fun, like seeing all those festivities and then games. Yeah, just really embracing the rural living in the US. So that's one of my fondest memories there.
Hmm. Well, I could stop there, but I do want to approach one more topic, and it's related
Mhm,
to what we were discussing at the beginning. We live in a social media world. We're on
mhm,
YouTube right now, and Facebook and Twitter, and there's Instagram, and there'll be something new a few years from now, I'm sure. Cyberbullying is a reality for
mhm,
so many young people in particular, and young women deal with all kinds of challenging people doctoring photos, making up stories, harassing them online. What advice do you give to young women to get past all that clutter?
mhm. Um, for me, I guess just find your clique. That I think I will mention that support system again. It's
Hmm.
always good for you to have your group that's supportive to you, that have similar interests with you, because online makes everything seems so easy, and it's so easy for you also to comment about other people who you didn't even know. So I
Hmm.
think we spend too much time online, so I always encourage my friends, let's go out, meet one another, discuss about stuff.
Hmm.
So when things like this come, it doesn't drag you down that much. I won't say it wouldn't hurt you, of course. I mean, if like a random people say bad things about you, although you didn't know them, it must hurt your feeling. But if you have those click group, it can be also your family who know your worth and be supportive to you, I think it will make everything much more easier. And yeah, basically don't spend too much time on social
Mhm.
media. I mean, if you
I-
did, watch
right.
something like this to give you like more good insights, right?
Exactly. Watch something that's positive. I always say
Mhm.
to the people that I talk to, after you've looked at all the US ASEAN social media posts and our YouTube videos, then shut off social media and go out with your friends or your family
Yeah.
and take a break. Too much time online
Mhm.
is unhealthy. We can't avoid it, and there's lots of great information to be had there. It's all about balance. It's all about
Agree.
balance. And
Agree.
I think we'll wrap this up with your excellent tip. Find people in your life who know your worth. You should know your worth yourself, but then you need to find other people who give you that feedback, give you that positive encouragement. Sometimes constructive criticism, we all know that, but people who are not out to destroy you, people who want to build you up, make you, enable you to be the best person that you can be. And that's certainly
Agree.
what the US government wants to do through all our training programs and exchanges. We want to help people throughout Southeast Asia to realize their dreams, develop themselves. I see it in you, Abigail. You take advantage of all the programs at your disposal, whether they're US government programs or other opportunities. And you continue to take all those things that you've learned and then you give back. You give to others. You're trying to make
Thank
your
you.
community a better place and inspire women. And that's why I wanted you on the show today. So thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
me for this time.
Jason. My
I'm
pleasure. My
sure
pleasure.
I'm sure we will have many more chats and meet in
I
person.
know.
We've still only met virtually many, many times, but always a pleasure to talk to you. And
Likewise.
you warm me up, you excite me, you make me
Thank
want to do
you.
more.
Thank you. Good luck for the next episode.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward
much.
to
And
it.
thank you so much to our audience for joining us.
Yes.
If you have a suggestion for someone we should interview for an episode of The Big Idea, please share those ideas with us in the comments below. Thank you. Until the next time, take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.